Merry Christmas, and welcome to Straight to English channel.
While I do appreciate the festive energy, let's perhaps reserve that particular volume for, I don't know, a stadium concert.
Oh, right, sorry. It's just the lights, the coffee, the mountains of gifts. It's the most magical time. I get caught up in the sheer physical fact of presents just sitting there waiting.
And that's exactly where we need to focus for this deep dive. We're going to look past the twinkling lights and the coffee aroma.
Right. We need to focus on the linguistic mountain, not the physical one.
Precisely. That physical process, the ripping, as you might say, is universal. But the words we use, the specific phrases for a gift exchange, are incredibly nuanced. They're critical to sounding like a native speaker.
So just shouting thank you isn't enough. That's what you mean, right?
It's the baseline. It's a start. But yes, it's insufficient. Native speakers use this delicate choreography of verbs, shocked exclamations, and even logistical words to convey real surprise or just, basic social politeness.
Wow. Get it wrong and you could seem ungrateful.
Or at the very least confusing. It turns a moment of joy into a bit of a linguistic minefield.
So our mission today for the listener is what exactly?
Our mission for Straight to English is to give you the shortcut. We're going to unpack the key action verbs, decode those counterintuitive phrases that always trip people up.
The ones that sound like a rejection but actually mean pure love.
Those are the ones. And finally, we'll master the practical terms like gift receipts and stocking stuffers so you can navigate the whole exchange like an absolute pro.
Perfect. Let's jump right in with Nick and Holly. They're like the two extremes of gift opening, aren't they?
A perfect contrast. High-octane impatience versus measured elegance.
Okay, so Nick. Our friend had zero patience. We heard him practically vibrating with excitement, telling Holly to get to the good stuff. He was acting like a 5-year-old kid on too much sugar.
And that impatient energy translates directly into these aggressive high-energy verbs. Nick wants to hear to tear and to rip it open.
Yeah.
These are not gentle words. They imply a destructive focus. It's all about the contents, not the wrapping. It's immediate gratification.
I totally get that. Rip it. Get it open. That's the feeling.
Now contrast that with Holly. She was all about decorum. She wanted to open her gift carefully.
And why was she so careful?
This is the key detail. She wanted to save the ribbon. That tells you everything. She respects the wrapping as part of the whole gift experience.
So right there, we have a huge social difference in just two verbs. Ripping versus unwrapping.
Precisely. We know that to wrap is the action of covering the gift. And to unwrap is opening it. But the way you unwrap matters so much.
Like if something is fragile.
Exactly. The giver might even say, please don't just rip it. The box inside is a little fragile. It's a social cue to just slow down.
That makes a lot of sense. So what were these huge gifts that caused all this drama?
Well, Nick got Holly a really thoughtful gift. It was this heavy, deluxe espresso machine she'd been hinting at for months.
Oh, wow. That's a big deal.
It speaks volumes about his investment, both financially and emotionally.
And Holly got him that amazing vintage leather jacket. Super cool. Totally his style.
Which brings us to the phrases they used right after the paper came off. This is where so many learners get tripped up.
Oh, I know the one you mean.
The linguistic tripwire of the holiday season.
You shouldn't have.
Exactly. When Holly saw that massive, expensive machine, that's the first thing she said.
And if you didn't know the culture, you'd think she was politely rejecting it. Like, oh no, take it back.
And that is the confusion. It sounds like you are scolding the giver, suggesting they made a mistake. But culturally, it's the ultimate expression of overwhelmed gratitude.
So it means this is too much, you are too generous, but I am absolutely thrilled.
Yes, you're acknowledging they went above and beyond in cost or time or effort. It's a way of showing humility. People might also say things like, oh my gosh, you went too far, or this is so extravagant.
And Nick's response was perfect. He defined his whole reason for giving the gift.
He said, I wanted to spoil you.
A great phrase. What does that mean exactly? To spoil someone.
To spoil someone means to treat them exceptionally well, often lavishly. Buying them nice things, indulging their desires. It can sometimes have a negative meaning, like with children. But here, it's entirely positive.
Right, like grandparents spoiling grandkids with candy. But this is for adults.
Exactly. Nick was showing his affection through generosity. He wasn't just giving a gift. He was choosing to spoil her. That verb elevates the whole action.
Okay, but what if the gift isn't a deluxe espresso machine? What if it's, not great?
This is the crucial social contract. regardless of how you really feel. There is a socially mandatory reaction. The perfect one is, it's just what I wanted.
What if you got something truly awful? Like a melted candle shaped like a sad badger or something?
Well, unless it's from a very, very close relative with a great sense of humor, the rule is absolute politeness.
So you have to lie.
If it's just what I wanted, feels too insincere. The bare minimum is, it's lovely, thank you so much for thinking of me. You immediately shift the focus from the object to the intention.
You preserve the holiday spirit even if you're already planning how to return it.
Which leads us perfectly to the practical side, the escape route. Holly was very smart about that leather jacket. She got a specific piece of paper.
The gift receipt.
The essential gift receipt. It is a critical piece of gifting etiquette, especially for clothing. It's a special receipt from the store that, crucially, has no price on it.
And hiding the price is the whole point, right?
It maintains the elegance of the exchange. Nick can take that jacket back if the arms are too long or it's too tight and get the perfect size. But he never knows the exact monetary value. The generosity is preserved.
So I should always ask for one if I'm buying clothes for someone.
Absolutely. It shows consideration. It saves them the awkward moment of wearing something that doesn't fit or, even worse, having to ask you how much it cost. It's the ultimate polite fail-safe.
Okay, that's a key tip. Now, what about the paper itself, the wrapping paper? We hear a lot about sustainability now, and that has its own vocabulary.
It does. It brings in terms like eco-friendly and upcycled. And funnily enough, standard paper is often more easily recycled than those shiny laminated foils or plastic bows.
So the material matters. What are some of the sustainable options people are talking about?
Well, there's a rise in using simple recycled paper or even plain newspaper, which can actually look quite chic. Then you have upcycled materials. People use old clothes or scrap fabric.
Oh, I've seen that. It looks really unique. What about the stuff you tie it with?
You want to look for biodegradable materials, things like washi tape, that's a decorative paper tape, or natural hemp twine. Even simple paper ribbon is so much better than the plastic kind you can't recycle.
Wow. Okay, we've gone from aggressive verbs to the language of ecological wrapping. These are the kinds of details native speakers just...
Indeed. And if you enjoy learning these highly detailed English lessons, the culture, the hidden meanings, you really need to be part of our community.
Don't miss out on these insights that make complex language feel simple. If you want to keep getting these deep dives, you have to hit that subscribe button for Straight to English right now.
Now let's pivot from the big items, the machines and jackets, to the smaller ritual of the morning, the stocking stuffers.
First, we should probably define the stocking itself.
The stocking is that large, decorative sock, usually hung by the fireplace, waiting to be filled with small gifts.
And the stocking stuffers are the things that go inside the sock.
Exactly. They're small, usually inexpensive gifts. They aren't the main event. They're more like little bonuses or trinkets to kick off the morning with some fun.
Nick was definitely hoping for candy in his.
Candy is a classic. Other common examples are things like nice socks, lip balm, a fancy pen, maybe some small toiletries. They're little treasures you forgot you wanted.
So the takeaway is the big gift gets the you shouldn't have, and the stocking stuffer gets a simpler, oh, perfect, I needed new socks.
That is a very accurate distinction. We've covered a lot today. How to rip or unwrap a gift, the meaning of you shouldn't have, the idea to spoil someone, the logistics of a gift receipt, and of course, stocking stuffers.
But really productive deep dive. Now, for the final thought, I want to go back to that social tightrope. The bad gift.
Ah, the dreaded moment.
Remember that story about the teacher who got socks 3 sizes too small? That's a complete predicament.
Yeah.
A really uncomfortable situation. It forces a choice.
And you have about 2 seconds to make it. So when is it ever okay to be honest about a terrible gift? We know it's lovely as the social shield, but does that shield ever come down?
Right. Is it better to cause a moment of discomfort by being honest or long-term resentment by faking it?
That's a tough one. And on the flip side, what are the real social risks of not getting a gift receipt? You make the person have to come to you and ask for the original, price and all. That's more than just a size issue.
That's a loss of social grace, for sure.
Knowledge is power, especially with the unspoken rules of a language. You have to be prepared.
Well, we hope you now feel prepared for your next gift exchange. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into holiday vocabulary.
And please, make sure you subscribe to Straight to English immediately. We give you these detailed insights every single time. Now go share your best or worst gift story, like those tiny socks, with someone who gets it.
We'll see you next time.